you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer
That's
the
problem.
question? Would you
because
veto?
under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question. Would you veto?
you could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the former governor of Virginia.
Okay, we need to get this straight because Biden did the same thing in the debate, the same thing, the last debate between him and Trump, and I'm tired of it. I am tired of Democrats either not knowing what Roe actually did, even as they fight to codify it, or lying, just full outright lying. And my money is on the latter. Roe absolutely 100% allowed for abortions in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th month. 100%. What Roe was a handful of old men, unelected old men, overstepping their judicial bounds and deciding to make legislation for the entire nation. But even if you agree with Roe, okay, especially if you agree with Roe and you want to codify it, you should know what it actually said. And what Roe said was that we're going to invent the trimester system and no state in the union can restrict or ban abortion in the first trimester. It didn't say anything about you have to restrict or ban it in the 2nd or 3rd. It just said you cannot restrict or ban it in the first trimester. Is that clear? So actually, prior to the fall of Roe, there were a handful of states, plus DC, that allowed for abortion all 9 months, no questions asked, no medical necessity, because in fact, there is no medical necessity to abort a viable baby. We still have that today. The fall of Roe had nothing to do with any of that. Didn't stop that, didn't change it. This has been happening since Roe was in place, and it's still happening today. There are 8 or 9 states, including DC, where abortion is allowed all 9 months, no questions asked. And Roe did not restrict that, okay? Please understand that Roe did not restrict that. All Roe did was restrict states in the union from restricting or banning abortion in the first trimester. So we need to get that clear. And if late-term abortions aren't happening, if 3rd trimester abortions aren't happening, then we should be able to outlaw it. We should be able to outlaw it. That should be one thing that Democrats and Republicans agree on. But we can't because Democrats are radical. And it is happening. And they want it to happen. Now, obviously, viable babies are not aborted at the same rate as abortions early in pregnancy. I understand that, but it happens. And if it doesn't happen, why don't we just outlaw it? But in fact, we go in the opposite direction. For example, here is a statute from Alaska that protects partial birth abortions, which are exactly what they sound like, abortions that occur after a baby has already started to exit, if it protects the health and life of the mother. Now, I probably don't need to tell you that there is no such case as a partial birth abortion being needed to protect the health or life of the mother. That literally does not exist. There's nothing that would require you to enact an abortion while a living fetus is being birthed into the world in order to save the mother's life. That just doesn't happen. And yet here we have a statute in Alaska. So if it doesn't happen, why can't Republicans and Democrats reach across the aisle and make sure that it never ever happens, huh? That seems like something that we should be able to agree on. I know we all have different positions on this month, that month, assault, whatever else, but we should be able to agree that once a baby is viable, that baby should be protected no matter what. If the mother's health is at risk, any doctor worth his salt would induce delivery or perform a C-section and do everything he or she can to save the baby while also protecting and caring for the life and health of the mother, which is equally important. So please understand what Roe actually did. Please understand that late-term abortion has not changed since the fall of Roe. It still happens. It happened before Roe. And please understand that these actually do happen. And if they don't happen, we should be able to agree to outlaw it.
That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
So that means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th month.
That is simply not true. that Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period, period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term